One more to do. Do. What up, guys? Second video, the science video of the day. So I thought that a lot of people already knew this, but I've been kind of seeing it pop up quite a bit on like Facebook and Twitter and other kind of little bit of the social media, things to waste your life on. And so I was like, dude, maybe a lot of people don't know about it like I thought they did. So with that, this article is brought to you by Gizmo Do. I think that's how you pronounce it. Not too familiar with it. Gizmo Do. And the writer his name is James Brown. Link in the description below, as always. And the title of this article is anticipation. Drum roll. Ancestry-Testing Company says it's our moral responsibility to give the FBI access to your DNA. I don't know. I'm going to read the article and then I'll kind of give you my thoughts on it because I'm a little crazy when it comes to conspiracy theory type stuff. And I'll probably have some whack out ideas about it. But let's read the article first and see what it says. A popular DNA testing company seems to be targeting true crime fans with a new pitch to let them share their genetic information with law enforcement so cops can catch violent criminals. 2 months ago, FamilyTreeDNA raised privacy concerns after BuzzFeed revealed the company has been partnering with the FBI and given the agency access to the genealogical database. Law enforcement use the DNA database that has been widely known since last April when California officials revealed Genealogical website's information was instrumental in determining the identity of the Golden State Killer. But in that case, detectives used publicly shared raw genetic data on GED match. The recent news about FamilyTreeDNA marked the first known time a home DNA test company had willingly shared private genetic information with law enforcement. Several weeks later, FamilyTreeDNA changed their rules to allow customers to block the FBI from accessing their information. I'm going to stop right there. That's Family Tree. So apparently they were sharing their information with the FBI anyway, with their customers not knowing. And in case you don't know what FamilyTreeDNA is, where they send a kit to your house, you do the swab, you send it back, and they let you know that, hey, you're white. Everyone who's white has part 2% African. That's basically what you find out. If you're white, you're all European and 2% African. That's like all my friends who have done it. It always comes back that way. It's pretty funny. I only have white friends, so that's all the only friends I know. At least only white people are doing DNA testing. You never know. But anyhow, then they go back and they change their policies and then say, oh, now we'll let you decide if you want to block that from happening or not. That's a low blow, man. That's not a good move as a company. I mean, I don't care about where I come genetically. I know that my great grandfather came here from the boat from Ireland. So I mean, that's really all I care about. I know that some parts of my family are Cherokee and French. And I mean, like, that's cool. I have a little bit of history from like when the founding of America was and where this, but that's all I need. I don't need all this other stuff. So luckily stuff like this hasn't bothered me at all. But I know a lot of people that it has, and I know a lot of people that they're upset. They're like, hey man, I don't want to just sharing my genetic information, just sharing my DNA. Like, and I can feel that. I understand. And so with that said, this is their statement. Users now have the ability to opt out of matching with DNA relatives whose accounts have been flagged by creating to identify the remains of deceased individuals or perpetrators of homicides or sexual assaults. The company said in a statement at the time. But now the company seems to be embracing its partnership with law enforcement with their new company called Families Want Answers. Great. So now they're starting a new company with a different name. That makes sense. The company plans to air a new advertisement this week in San Francisco that features Ed Smart, father of Elizabeth Smart, who was abducted in 2002 and held captive for 9 months before being rescued. That was a huge story back then. I remember that. In the ad, Ed Smart makes a plea for people to share their DNA so they can help families who have lost children. When a loved one is a victim of a violent crime, families want answers. He said in the ad, shows footage with the child's shoe on a playground, crime scene tape, and parents embracing. There is more DNA available at crime scenes than any other evidence. If you are one of the millions of people who have taken a DNA test, your help can prove the missing link. FamilyTreeDNA did not immediately respond to this article's request for comment on whether the new campaign was responsible for the most recent reporting on the company's arrangement with the FBI. In a public statement, FamilyTreeDNA's president and founder, Bennett Greenspan, seemed to appeal to both genealogical hobbyists and true crime fans. The genealogical community has the ability to crowdsource crime solving. He said, if FamilyTreeDNA can help prevent violent crimes, save lives, or bring closure to families, then we feel the company has a moral responsibility to do so. Press release states that the company's terms of service only allows law enforcement to receive private customer information through a valid legal process such as a subpoena or a search warrant. The FamilyTreeDNA users may have a moral responsibility to decide if they want to opt out of sharing their data with law enforcement or risk having their DNA narc on them or a family member. Interesting. Very interesting. So that's the end of the article, and let me think. Yeah, I'm not okay with that. As long as it's in their terms of service, and as long as it's big and bold, and it says that you can opt out of this or you can't, I think that's okay. But I think that will probably get abused, to be honest with you. I think if they have a large bank of DNA and through some sorts of leads or tip-offs or things like that, the person's name gets called, they figure out that the DNA, I think that they can get a search warrant or a subpoena to get that information from the company anyway, whether you say it's okay or not, because that company now owns your genetic information because you submitted it to them. So I think that's kind of a load of BS in my personal opinion. I could be wrong. I mean, as far as how I feel about it, I think that, through a police investigation is a police investigation, and leads should be determined throughout that investigation. And I don't think that should be messed with. However, I mean, there is some cases that are really old where, hey, maybe it was like my uncle. Like, let's think of it this way. Maybe it was like my great uncle was like the Zodiac killer. I live in California, so the Zodiac is like a big deal. We used to go to the Zodiac Shack and screw around when we were kids. It was like a made-up thing. It didn't really exist, but that's what we called it. So let's say my great uncle was a Zodiac killer, right? And they have this DNA. They've never been able to match it before and all this good stuff. And I go through and I do the genealogical report to FamilyTreeDNA. And throughout some sort of investigative leads, they figure that, oh, hey, this might be a relative. I'm really not even sure how they would figure this information out. But then they can just go grab my DNA and say, oh, yeah, there we go. It is a connection to the DNA that we have, and we can trace it to his great uncle. So, see, I don't know. I don't know if I'm okay with that or not. I mean, is it a good thing? Yeah, it definitely could be a good thing, but could it be abused, Could it be a breach of, personal trust, a breach of your personal information? I mean, DNA, I wouldn't. If I got arrested and they tried a DNA swab, I'd be like, no, you can do that after I've been charged for the crime. You're not just going to take my DNA. I am innocent right now until you prove me guilty before you start swabbing DNA or, get a subpoena. But I don't know. I feel like that maybe that's changing. Maybe people just aren't aware. You start creeping. Your mind starts wandering like to the worst aspects of it all. Like, oh wow, well, I mean, I love law enforcement. I have family that's in law enforcement, but things have been planted on people. It's been caught on camera. I mean, there's bad people, and no matter what type of work that you do, So you're just gonna have a bad cop here and there. I think 99% of them are great people, but as all professions, you're gonna have shitheads in any profession. So I mean, what's to stop a cop from, requesting DNA and planting DNA evidence on a crime scene? There's been video evidence of them planting weapons on people and them planting knives and guns and drugs. So, it's as far as how much are you gonna trust enforcement agencies to do the right thing? I don't know. It's really a personal choice. If you want to use Ancestry-Tree-DNA, then now you know that they might give your genetic information to law enforcement agencies if they request it or if they get a subpoena for it. So, I mean, that's that. I don't know what else to say. That's your decision. I've made my decision. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. I love to have a conversation. I love hearing the ideas of other people and how other people think. It's one of my favorite things to do, obviously. So thank you very much. You made it to the end. I love you much. Like, subscribe, share, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff. Thanks again. File Notice Media. Have a great day.